The Midshipmen are 3-0 overall, 2-0 in the American Athletic Conference. Navy was in action this past Saturday at UConn, and Navy won the game 28-18. Up next for the Midshipmen will be Saturday against Air Force at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. That game will be a 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time start and will be on CBS Sports Network. Coach, thank you so much for joining us on the call today. If you would take a minute to tie up the game against UConn, please, and then let us know what your team is facing as you begin the pursuit of the Commander-in-Chief's trophy against Air Force, please.
Okay. Well, thank you, Chuck. Very happy to come out of UConn or Connecticut with the win. It was a tough game. I thought everything that we saw on tape as far as their physicality, they're well coached. Coach Diaco's done a really good job. We expected a tough, hard-nosed, grinded-out game, and the game didn't disappoint. I thought it was a well-played game on both sides of the ball. I thought our kids played well. I thought UConn played well. And fortunately, we were able to come out of there with the victory, but really excited again the way our guys responded. Good atmosphere. They had a really good crowd there, and so I thought our guys played well in our first time on the road, and just pleased to come out of there with the victory. And as we get ready for this week against Air Force, really good football team. We know them very well. Coach Calhoun also is a really, really good football coach. They do a great job there, and they got a really good team. Played Michigan State tough, but we know who they are. They're a really good football team, really good players, well coached, and it's going to be a dogfight. But it's the first leg for both of us, and on our quest for the Commander-in-Chief trophy. So it's an important game for both of our programs, and but like I said, we know it's going to be a tough football game.
Take questions for Coach Niumatalolo. Please hit *1 on your telephone to join the queue. Then the operator will introduce you.
We'll go first to Jared Shanker from ESPN.com.
Hey, Ken, when you were recruiting Keenan Reynolds, what impressed you about him, not just physically, athletically, but with his mental makeup, knowing the commitment required to play, to be a student athlete at a service academy?
Well, I think early on in the recruiting process, Coach Ingram had mentioned to us that in his homework, and evaluating the kids, character, and all the people that he talked to just glowed about his personality, who he was as a young man, and what he told us, and I still remember this, what he told us in our staff room, that he reminded, everybody said he's a great leader. He just said he reminded him of Ricky Dobbs, our former quarterback. They're a little different personality, but just a good kid. And I also thought, the times that I did call him, he always answered his phone. I think one time he was getting ready to go in a basketball game. One time he was at a movie theater. I think he stepped out of the movie theater. So I just thought, wow, what a, most people or most kids would just let it go to the voicemail, but he actually stepped out to take the phone calls. And then also, so those are some things I just like, this kid's a special kid, really polite. We knew he was a good football player, but the stuff off the field told you that he was a really good person.
Like you said, the rarity of him answering every phone call, just what did that really signify for you as to who this 18-year-old, 17-year-old, however old he was, the kind of person he was?
Well, it just told you, he was a very polite, very serious about his future. And, I remember one phone call prior to that, just, he wanted to know, he came a previous weekend on our visit, and then he went to Air Force after our visit. But it was after those visits he had called and said, hey, and we were actually having a recruiting visit, and he called and said, hey, I just have one question, and, I took my visits to you guys, and Air Force liked them both, but I just want to know if I got a chance to be the starter there. And I just told him, hey, you got to come here and work for it. We're not going to hand out anything. You got to earn it. And I hung the phone up. I kind of kicked myself in the butt. I said, man, I probably should have told him he could have started. But then he called back later on, and, he made his decision. But you could tell he was taking everything into account. Everything, he was making a really thorough and detailed decision. But as I look back at it now, it doesn't surprise me that he was that thorough and stuff, because that's just who he is as a person. He's a very meticulous person.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
And we'll go next to Dan Tortora with Dan Tortora Broadcast Media.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Good morning.
I know you talked about UConn a little bit, but the biggest takeaways that you saw in their team and who they are this season from your matchup with them at this point.
Physical, big, well coached. They got a very specific plan of what they're trying to do. They're trying to win ball games. They're going to run the ball. They got a good offensive package that gives them a chance. Defensively, they're well coached. Here they are playing Missouri that throws the ball all over the lot, and they, played them really, really well. And we're an option team, and they transitioned right to us and played us very well. So, you know that they're well coached. They know what they're doing. There's not a lot of flash and glitz to their deal. They're just trying to win games. They're doing everything they can to win physical ball games. And it's like I told people last week. I've gotten to know Coach Diaco pretty well over the last year and a half. But don't be confused by that guy's good looks. That guy's a tough sucker. And his team reflects it. And so just the way they play, they don't talk a lot of junk, or they're not trash talkers. They just play ball. I was just really impressed with the way they played the game.
And then to kind of go a little bit more with Keenan Reynolds, his selflessness, just wanting the team to score. He said after the game he doesn't care who scores in the red zone, if it's him or somebody else. He just wants to score. For someone that's had so much success but doesn't look at the spotlight and want the attention on him, what can you say about the type of human being he is and how he carries himself?
Well, he knows exactly what he wants. He's a guy that he wants to win. And he recognizes that at the quarterback position, ultimately you're always defined by wins and losses. It's not passing yards, rushing yards, touchdowns, all those kinds of stats. When people think about, really good quarterbacks or great quarterbacks, they look at their wins and loss records. So his ultimate goal is to try to win as many games as our starting quarterback. And so, whatever that role is, if we ask him to carry the ball 20 times, or if they're taking a quarterback away and making us hand the ball off or pitch the ball, he's going to do that. And so you just know his motives are pure. His motives is he just wants W's. And because of that, especially at that position, you're grateful that you have a guy that recognizes it's all about whatever he can do to make us successful.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we'll go next to Bill Wagner with the Baltimore Sun Media Group.
Hey, Coach. Good morning. Hey, I know obviously that the Commander-in-Chief's trophy is foremost always, but there's a secondary element to this now. Now that you all are in a conference and the race to get into the Power 6 New Year's Day bowl games, they take the top teams from the best of the five conferences. So now these games between American Athletic Conference and Mountain West Conference have meaning. Is that something you think about for down the road?
Well, right now, no. We're just thinking about trying to find the best way we can to prepare for a very, very good Air Force team. Like I said, we know them very well. We know their staff. They have a really good staff. Coach, like I said, Coach Calhoun and all the guys on the staff are really good coaches. We know a lot of their players. We tried to recruit them, so they got good players. That's where all of our focus is at, just preparation, for a very, very good, football team.
And we can take one more question for Coach Niumatalolo, please.
And we'll take Kyle Kensing with Athlon Sports.
Coach, one about Keenan for you. You're mentioning the kind of young man that he is off the field. In terms of what he's been able to bring on the field, you've obviously had some great quarterbacks like Ricky, but what about Keenan has made him so successful throughout his career?
He's a great leader. He's just a great leader, and with each year he's gotten more and more vocal. But now, he's directing people. He's doing it in a great way. He gets on people when they need to get on. He, pats people on the butt when they need to. But, he's he's doing everything. The guy, Coach Jasper's, done a really good job of, teaching him the offense, and he knows it very, very well. So he's out there helping everybody. He can tell different people different things. And so, it's really helped us from the standpoint people trying to change things up on us, that he's able to get us in the right play. He's able to remind certain guys about their assignments, say, make sure you step here, watch that guy. And he's able to do it in a way and still not take away from anything from his job description. But I think the greatest thing that he's brought this year is his preparation has gone to another level. It wasn't like he was getting all these accolades and he kind of sat back and, was just, relaxing or anything. He took his preparation, his workouts, his film study, his training room treatment to get healthier. He's taken that all to another level. And then when your leader's doing that, it just brings up everybody else, because everybody else recognizes, hey, if the best player on our team's working that hard, we got to pick it up too.
And with him pursuing that Division I rushing record, having that ability to elevate Navy to where they have that quarterback who's number one all time, what does that kind of do for him as an individual and maybe as for the entire program?
Well, I think for him and our program, if that would happen, that'd be a great honor. It'd be obviously a monumental accomplishment. But that's he's not chasing it. All we're chasing is W's, whether that's him scoring or giving it to somebody else. And whatever happens, happens. But obviously, in the nature of our offense, he's going to carry the ball a lot. And so it's a byproduct of him being a really good player, making good decisions, and has got him to this point. But, he'll be the first one to tell you that he's not worried about the record. He's just trying to do everything he can during the course of the game to get us a W.
Thank you.
Coach, thank you so much for the time this morning. We look forward to talking to you again next Monday.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Coach Niumatalolo from Navy, and the midshipmen face Air Force on Saturday, 3:30.